Hi everyone, my name's Veer. I'm a high school senior from Delta, British Columbia, Canada. Thank you all for stopping by, and welcome to the first of its kind moving screen lecture and webinar series on social media addiction, mental health, and the importance of attentive focus. I believe these videos will reach you guys bi-weekly, so if you enjoy them, you can check them out then. So just to let you guys know a little bit about why I kind of call this the moving screen lecture series. A few years ago, I was reading a book called Scattered Minds, written by a psychiatrist here in Vancouver named Gabriel Maté. And it was about attention deficiency and how its origins don't really lie in our standard genetics, but rather in our environment. So it's this groundbreaking book. And my main takeaway from it was that in actuality, we live in an attention economy. So the smartest minds of our time are solely focused on retaining and grabbing our attention. So the way they engineer this is through social media. And there's a reason, you and I like to stay up late at night scrolling through our social media of choice, whether that be Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and the like for hours on end. And the worst part of it all is that we're barely aware of this looming truth. It consumes so many hours of our day, and it's largely hidden in our subconscious mind. So there's a reason behind this phenomenon, and I'll get to it in a bit. But anyway, I put down the book and I got kind of curious about social media addiction. So I researched a ton and then I even spoke to a few psychiatrists in the area. But the more people I talked to, the more I realized that the psychiatric community as a whole doesn't actually know that much about social media addiction. And I realized that the reason for this is because most people who are kind of at the forefront, the leaders of thought within the realm of psychiatry and psychology, are like experts, right? So they're people in their 50s, 60s, 70s. And so I don't know about your guys' grandparents or older relatives, but mine, most, if not all of them, are off social media. They just didn't grow up with it. It's not natural for them. So all of these people are like older, right? And they don't really have that kind of experience on social media, and likewise, they don't really know what it's like, and they struggle to help people who do struggle with social media addiction. So when I started to get kind of curious about it, I realized that none of my mentors could actually tell me much about it because they themselves did not know that much about it. So I started, what I started to do was I just started talking to more and more people. And I started getting emails, and people that I talked to were like, "Hey, maybe you should talk to this guy." And word of mouth kind of spread. I ended up working with over the last 2 years around 50 or 60 people. So I spent hundreds of hours working with these guys, and now even recently, I've gotten some requests to work with adults in terms of stress management and things like that. Um, and so I've just been working with people and trying to figure out, why is it that people are on social media so much, and what can we do to help with your addiction? So one of the first things that I realized when when I got started working with these people is that I don't think addiction is really a good term to describe it. I mean, I think this is kind of the problem. This is part of a problem in the field of psychiatry as a whole, is that we try to take things like drug addiction and alcohol addiction, and we try to apply it to a new phenomenon like social media addiction or IAD, which is internet addiction disorder. And so we kind of lump all these things together, and then, but the problem is, in my mind, there's a huge difference between someone who's an alcoholic and someone who's addicted to social media. I mean, I myself am at one point guilty of being so engrossed with social media that I would stay up till late at night, the night before a big Spanish final or something. And then, it's not like my addiction got cured or anything now. It's just that it's no longer problematic. It's become healthier. So it used to really interfere with the goals that I had for myself and interfere with my life, but I still use social media from time to time now, but it's nowhere near as much as I used to. Now I'm busy with other stuff and I have a newfound value and appreciation for my time. So I do things now that I find meaningful and fulfilling, offering a deep sense of satisfaction. So it's not really about whether you're a social media addict or not, and we'll talk a little bit about it later, how to decide if your phone or computer is a problem. But what I really like to do is help you guys learn how to be a moving screen. And this is another thing. So in the addiction world, there's this idea that it's abstinence only. So If you're an alcoholic, it's 10 years sober and you're never allowed to have a single drink. My understanding is that social media addiction is different because there are some people that I've worked with who used to have really problematic usage, but but these guys still enjoy social media games now, and they're doing fine in life now. So today, what I'd like to do is just kind of start by reframing it a little bit. So I think where we need to start is help you guys understand why you use social media in the first place and what function these apps serve for you. I think what we need to do is talk about how they shape you, how they change your brain, how do they affect your neurochemistry, how do they affect your ability to form relationships, your ability to solve problems, because they definitely do. I mean, when a human brain does something for hours upon hours in a day, pretty much every day, anything that you do, whatever activity it is going to change the way their brain works. So if you think about someone who plays music for 4 hours a day, that's going to change the way their brain works. It's going to change the way their auditory cortex develops. And in that same way, social media shapes you guys. So the goal of these lectures are not necessarily to overcome your addiction, but to gain an understanding about yourself and understanding how it shapes the person that you are. And so today we're going to cover a couple of different topics. We're going to talk just about some general things about sort of an introduction to social media and how you know whether it's a problem and how you know whether it's an addiction. And so we're going to talk about some things involving cognition. So how does it change the way you think? How does it change the way you approach problems? And we're going to talk a little bit about neuroscience as well. So my hope is that by helping you guys understand a little bit about who you are and how your emotions work, how your cognition works, and what's happening in your brain, my overall hope is to equip you or at least empower you with this information so that you can understand your social media usage and gain an understanding eventually of yourself and get control over this person. And by getting control over yourself, my hope is that you can move in the direction that you want to and stop being a problematic user and start being a healthier you.